Shalom, shalom. Before I begin the lesson, I would like to start by saying Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai. All honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and teachers at Great Millstone for teaching me this 100% truth about our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and the true reason why he's coming back, which is to save the elect remnant of the house of Israel from their enemies and those that hate them, and to take over the earth and universe, which was given to him by the mighty Yahweh himself, the Ancient of Days, wherein our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, will establish righteousness throughout the whole earth and universe forever under the kingdom of the heaven of the Israelites. Shalom, Akim and Akwaf. We one day closer to the kingdom. As we look at the world stage today, we see these Edomites continue to expose themselves to be the wicked that they are. You got DJ Trump, DJ, who just bombarded, as he in his own words, obliterated 3 nuclear sites on Iranian soil on Saturday, and then by Monday turn around and say he wants a ceasefire. Tuesday, it was supposed to take effect. And as we could tell, the propaganda begins. The Israelis claiming that the Iranians breaking the deal. But what the underlying issue should be, what's going on in Palestine? What's going on in the Gaza Strip still? And in the West Bank? Because at this very moment, they continue to be slaughtered. They continue to be denied humanitarian aid. They continue to suffer from famine and other pestilences, diseases. They can't even donate blood to each other. I mentioned that in the previous lesson. And yet, everybody is focused on what is DJ going to do? Let's start the lesson off by going to Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. That's the Israelites. Because as you can tell, the UN, United Nations, the ICC, International Criminal Court, it's just organizations made up after World War II by who? Edomites. And these organizations benefit who? Edomites. You see, every UN charter dealing with nations' relations with each other have been violated by the Americans and the Israelis. So on Saturday, like I said, they illegally bombed Iran, violated all kind of UN charters, violated the Constitution of America. You can't go to war unless you get approved by Congress. That was Saturday. By Sunday night, by Monday, by Monday night, the president, the very one who had just started, who just used an illegal campaign to bomb a country, said his speech now. As the judge of the people, verse 2, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them that are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. Hold on, let me see if I can change this. Switch to standard KJV. Yo, I know you probably, when y'all was looking at that, you probably look, what is that V right there? Where's your U supposed to be? Chapter 10, verse 3. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. So you got an unwise king in DJ. You got an unwise king, leader over in BB, as they call him. They continue to slaughter 50 plus Palestinians a day. This is not even being addressed anymore. The main news is what's going on between them Israelis and them Iranians. You got puppet leaders through family dynasties in the surrounding region that's on the, see how could I put this, the western part of the, let me see, I wrote it down. Shalaki. The family dictatorships that control the Arabian side of the Persian Gulf, like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Qatar, they just got bombed. They just bombed the U.S. military base in Qatar. Those families are finna go down. I just seen a scene from today where it looked like it's thousands of Palestinians gathered in one area trying to get food. They're just trying to get food. And who messing them up? Them Israelis. Slaughtering them. 50 plus a day. They done already devastated their city. The Gaza Strip right now. Some came out that the people over in them Israelis, just from this little 12-day war that they didn't have the Iranians, the claims, insurance claims have skyrocketed. Guess who's gonna pay for that? They country already get billions of dollars in aid from America, so you ain't gonna keep on funding them with American taxpayer money. But they always lie about their narratives, and we're gonna get into that. Trump is an unwise king. Let me read that again. Ecclesiastes 3:10-3. An unwise king destroys his people. Right? But through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. That's when we take the kingdom from them. The Lord gonna take it from them. Let me get down. He go to point. That's for us from Israel, right? Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong. This is verse 6. And do nothing at all by injurious practices. Your neighbor, your fellow Israelite. But look at this. Verse 7. Pride is hateful before the Most High power and man. And by both doeth one commit iniquity. Who more prouder than these boys, DJ? Now, they didn't say it. The ceasefire took effect at 4 a.m. Tuesday over in Israel, over in I would say Western Asia. You know, the Edomites, after they took over the known earth, they started calling it the Middle East. But it's always been known as Western Asia. That's why when you hear the people over from that area, when they speak of that land, they don't say the Middle East, they say Western Asia. All these narratives that have been put that have been put in front of us by Esau, Edom, y'all better let go, Israel, because this regime is finna go down. Let me read that again. Ecclesiastes 10:7. Pride is hateful before the Most High power and man, and by both doeth one commit iniquity. He go to point, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. Who fit that MO, that method of operation? The modern day so-called white man. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So soon and very soon, that's y'all ass. Let's you know why? Let's go back one chapter. Go back one chapter. Ecclesiastes 9. We're gonna start at 11. And that's for these Jake that's over here in America that love the actions of this American government and their military. Ecclesiastes 9:11. Envy not the glory of a sinner, for thou knowest not what shall be his end. Verse 12. Delight not in the thing that the ungodly have pleasure in. And the ungodly, house of Esau, Edom, have pleasure in war and death. But remember, they shall not go unpunished until their grave. Keep thee far from the man that hath power to kill, right? So shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. If thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Then they do us like that. Then they have kind of laws during the time of slavery and when we came out of slavery. Hey, I've read it. If you looked at a white person wrong, they can kill your ass. Their time is up. Y'all better uncleave yourself to them wicked ass folks, because they finna go down. Keep thee far from the man that have power to kill. So shalt thou not doubt the fear of death, Salaki. And if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember that thou goest in the midst of snares, and that thou wakest upon the battlements of the city. Now, they saying that it's sleeper cells over here in America. Beware. Because they know they was wrong for what they just did Saturday. So they got to figure out, how can we get into this war legally so that Congress can approve it. They're having NATO meetings right now. They got the nerve to say that the things that's going on between Ukraine and Russia, Iranians, and the Israelis. Mind that, it's just not, it's the Israelis against the Iranians. This all started October 7th when the Israelis allowed Hamas, who is Palestinians, who just trying to fight for their people because they being occupied by who? Them Israelis. And it seems like the Americans and those 2/3 of us who are Israelites have assimilated and believed in the doctrines of these Edomites. Y'all allowing them to do it. Y'all don't have no problem with them slaughtering and occupying, torturing, humiliating, causing famine in the region, pestilence and death to a nation of people. Y'all don't have no problem with that. All y'all focus on is, well, we're gonna see some more theater, some WWE actions from our government. Show us something blow up, right? The Israelis treat the Palestinians like goyim. Look the word up. They consider everybody else to be goyim too. They have no respect of persons. They don't respect nobody. They don't even respect themselves. They vow, keep thee far from the man that have power to kill. Let's get some, wait a minute. Let me get this before we get into some articles. I mean, some news cast. Let me read this. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. Shalaki. Right? Let's get let's go to the book of Job before we start getting into some of these podcasts and newscasts that I watched last night at work. Let me see. See if I do it like this. Now, Shalaki Israel. Let me just go to Job. Job 18. Job 18:5. Yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. Now, they was going at it with them Iranians, but they realized we can't fuck with nobody. See, them Israelis, they cannot, just like America. They talk a good game, but they have no game. if you can understand that. You can have a person sit on the sideline and say he can make every jump shot, every layup, dunk all kind of ways. But when it's time to get on the court, motherfucker can't jump over a line. These Edomites have took the game, or like Jake would say, you talking shit. They took that to the next level. We have obliterated, destroyed, demolished the nuclear program of the Iranians, when in true reality, they called them folks and told them they was from the Bible, and they moved all their vital equipment out of the way. Same thing when the Iranians responded. Before they hit that base in Qatar, they called America and let them know what they was doing. So don't believe all the shit that y'all see. It's just like reality TV. Fake. Let me see something. Job 18:5. Yet the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. Now, they've been giving y'all reports that we got sleeper cells in America. Iranian sleeper cells, terrorists. Now, who let them in the country? Jeremiah 50:51. That's going to be in effect. Right? Now, when they were doing all this, Trump with his campaign, I'm going to seal the borders. Who they been kicking out the country? Not them people that was, not them foreigners that could be identified as a person that probably would be in a sleeper cell. They was getting rid of Jake. All the time, they was allowing other nations in, like the Moabites, the Chinese, the Elamites, the Iranians, Pakistanians, Indians, Ham, Africans, Ukrainians, right? But in actuality, remember when them folks last year, before they went at Lebanon, and they set off all them pages on Hezbollah, who did that sneak attack? Oh, Israelis. But when they do it, it's not terrorism. It's just them defending themselves. Now, when they just, this 12-day war, and it's a brief ceasefire, who initiated the fight? The Israelis. They attacked, they say they did a preemptive strike on them Iranians. How did they do it? By the sleeper cells that they had inside Iran, through the Mossad, which is the equivalent of the Secret Service for the Israelis, just like the CIA is a Secret Service for the Americans. So they use sleeper cells to get an advantage over the Iranians. And now they saying that it's sleeper cells in America. Don't be fooled, y'all. Every move they make is crooked, man. You cannot make straight with the Lord I made crooked. They just fucking wicked killers, man. Maniacs. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. He is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terrors shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. So guess what? These little plans y'all laying, the elite, the world's elite, or the deep state that they would say, as they say over here, these plans they got, the Lord finna afford them. All these people finna rebel against these Edomites. As you can see right now, they're holding meetings in NATO, right? They hold meetings in NATO, and you can't distinguish, or they can't. They trying to figure out what they're gonna do. They can't. We trying to go to war. They trying to go to war against Russia. You got the Americans trying to fight a 3-front war. I just seen a little podcast on that against Iran, China, and Russia. They finna get fucked up, which is good for us. The Lord is starting to let them Amalekites feel his wrath too. If they have done, it shall be done unto them. Them Iranians was handing them their ass, sending them bombs over there. That's why they was begging for a ceasefire deal. That's why the Americans came in and did that fake bombing of their nuclear sites so they could have a way out. But as soon as Trump provided them a way out, say ceasefire, what them Israelis do right now as we speak, saying, oh, no, the Iranians keep violating the ceasefire deal, so we finna go at them. Because they want war. Zelensky begging, hey, man, what about me? What happened to me? Ain't like my auntie used to tell me back in the day when I was in the world. You wearing yourself thin, boy. You're doing too much. Them Americans and them Israelis, they didn't did too much. Now all these other nations finna come at y'all. They steady showing scenes of the people that they killed. More than 80 Palestinians killed in Israeli strikes since dawn on Tuesday. So for them to put in the national news, there's a ceasefire between the Iranians and the Israelis. What about them boys over in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, the Muslims that y'all keep on killing? Let me get this. Psalm 64 and 8. I'm gonna start at 2. Shalaki. 64 and 1. Now remember, now when we reading these scriptures, it's multi-layered. I mean, it can apply to us, the Israelites, and it can apply to these Edomites, because they are number one enemy. And they the ones that took up our book and stole our identity. So the Lord gonna get them. I'm gonna start at 1. Shalaki. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. Who was David? An Israelite. A melanated Israelite. He didn't look sick like them people that's over there now. You can see this scene. It's thousands of people. There's at least 10 to 20,000. Very little medical aid is in it into Gaza since Israel's 115-day blockade of supplies. Now, with that being said, let me say this right quick. They say they got a ceasefire deal. What nation in the world would believe that it's a ceasefire deal between the Americans and anybody? They're going to break it. Or the Israelis and anybody. Did they just have a ceasefire deal with these people of Palestine in January? And by March, they broke the ceasefire deal. Ain't nobody said nothing. It's June 24th. And these people out there looking like they had they just walking around in distress, in despair. Southern Gaza. Nobody saying shit. Soldiers at militarized distribution sites have killed. They just shooting people. Right? Psalm 64 and 1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. Hear my voice, O Most High Power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. And we know the wicked in the scriptures. The number one, the nation that's wicked are the Edomites. But we have wicked men amongst us too, in our own house, the house of Israel. So you got 2 houses in Israel, the house of Saul, which is the wicked, and the house of David, the righteous. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. Who is that? That's these Edomites worldwide, from NATO to the American government. Canadian government, the EU, right? They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Right? All this shit is propaganda. The fight that they have against these Iranians, it dates all the way back to 1952, when the CIA did what? Overthrew the Iranian government and set up a puppet government in Iran. And what did that person do that they set up? The king? He ruled them with an iron fist. He tortured them people, brutalized them, killed them. So in 1979, the people of Iran had a revolution and revolted and displaced the man that the Americans put in office. And what has been going on since 1979? The Americans been trying to overthrow their ass again since then. But do the American public know that? Nope. They don't care. All they want to know is who getting killed and who winning. And if it don't apply to me, it ain't going to affect my cookout. It's affecting our way of life in America, so we don't care. They encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? Now, you can bet that these sleeper cells that they claiming that the Iranians have over here, they being ran by the Mossad and the CIA. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. But the Most High power shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Now, the rest of the world, everybody's saying, hey, man, don't do no ceasefire deal with these fucking Edomites. Continue your campaign on destroying them Israelis over in their land that they illegally occupied because it is an apartheid state. Now, let's get some, see what's been popping. Fair use is in full effect. Let's get a little backdrop. Let me see if it'll show what I've been looking at. Oh, man, what's going on? It's taking a minute to load. Shalaki, Israel. Let's see. Fair use is in full effect. Make their own tongue to fall on themselves. We'll start out with this one from this guy pretty good. He from over in I think he got to be from Ireland, but he worked with the British government. Now let's check this out.
For a queue of names I can give you, 80 countries long, 80 countries long that the United States has invaded since the end of World War II. Invaded or subverted by way of proxy armies or
let's go back.
I've got a queue of names I can give you. 80 countries long. 80 countries long that the United States has invaded since the end of World War II. Invaded or subverted by way of proxy armies or assisted in the terrorist overthrow, mass murder, assassination, and other means to alter the course of the trajectory of those countries struggling to be free. So Israel can't be blamed for those, you see. It's not Israel that overthrew President Salvador Allende in Chile in 1973. It's not Israel that murdered millions of people in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't Israel that launched the Korean War. The United States has been a malignant empire since the end of the Second World War. And I could go back. There are only actually 6 years, in the hundreds of years since the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, that America has not been involved in a foreign war.
Check that out. You hear him, right? Like, you don't need this. Hold up. Nah. Hold on. Shalaki. Now you heard that, right? This country been in existence. Since this country been in existence, it's only been 6 years that they did not have a war. Hold on. Now how can I get back to my Shalaki Israel? I'm just learning this laptop. Yeah, let's go back. Yeah. Something else I had. This it. Let's get this.
This is what's happening right now, just so in case.
That crisis initiation is really tough.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me to see how the United States president can get us to war with Iran.
So this is the people.
Yes.
This is the people who actually control the government since the JFK assassination. These people who want to get us to a war with Iran. So they have to figure out, how do we get us to a war with Iran? They got us to a war with Iraq. They got us to a war in Afghanistan. They got us to a war in Libya. They got us to a war in Yemen. They got us to a war in Somalia, Sudan. They got us to a war in Syria. And so how do we get to a war with Iran? So it's not about who you vote for, because they do not control what's happening. Remember that movie? Remember what Nixon said in the movie? He doesn't control it. In the movie Nixon? Okay, so here we go. Watch.
Which leads me to conclude that if, in fact, compromise is not coming, that the traditional way of America gets to war is what would be best for U.S. interests.
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox.
They make up these things.
So let's see. Really? I don't have more to that. That's where that ends?
He then lists every
I
war.
frankly think that crisis initiation is really tough. And it's very hard for me to see how the United States president can get us to war with Iran. Which leads me to conclude that if, in fact, compromise is not coming, that the traditional way of America gets to war is what would be best for U.S. interests. Some people might think that Mr. Roosevelt wanted to get us into World War II, as David mentioned. You may recall we had to wait for Pearl Harbor. Some people might think Mr. Wilson wanted to get us into World War I. You may recall he had to wait for the Lusitania episode. Some people might think that Mr. Johnson wanted to send troops to Vietnam. You may recall he had to wait for the Gulf of Tonkin episode. We didn't go to war with Spain until the USS.
That's why they got to backtrack. Trump jumped the gun. He just went out there and just bombed them folks. When it's a process that these Americans got to take to make the American public believe that it's true. Now check this out. Now this guy, the planter the Palantir CEO, he cool with Trump. Let's see what they got planned in order to get their new world order going. And guess
Donald
what?
Trump carried out the first U.S. military attack on Iranian territory since was a huge escalation of the joint U.S.-Israeli war on Iran that began on the 13th of June when Israel launched surprise attacks on Iran with the support of the U.S. government. In response to Trump's attack, Iran retaliated, and on the 23rd of June, it hit the major U.S. military base in Qatar, which is called Al Udeid. This Iranian strike was very symbolic because the Al Udeid base in Qatar is the largest U.S. military base in West Asia, in the so-called Middle East, and it is the FOCOM, the U.S. military central command, which oversees military operations in the region. Now, given the fact that Iran was directly responding to U.S. aggression and hitting U.S. military targets, it looked like U.S. President Donald Trump got pretty scared, and he decided to call off the war because he didn't want to escalate further. It would obviously be politically disastrous for him, given people in the U.S. opposed this war. So after Iran retaliated and hit this major U.S. military base, Trump suddenly announced on his Twitter copy website, Truth Social, that there would be a ceasefire. He announced this on the night of the 23rd of June. Now, initially, there were reports that Iran had never heard of this offer of a ceasefire. But after Trump announced this, Tehran said publicly that if Israel agreed to stop attacking Iran, then Tehran would agree to a ceasefire.
Stuck Poop is by adding more.
We have some bullshit commercial.
But it's very difficult to know if this is genuine or not, because Trump has previously used so-called peace talks with Iran as cover while Trump and Netanyahu were planning surprise attacks on Iran. And let's not forget what happened in January of 2025 when Trump claimed that he helped to broker a ceasefire in Gaza. He claimed that he had pressured Netanyahu to stop the Israeli war on Gaza. But then just
like I said, since this little brief 12-day war between the Israelis and the Iranians, the Israelis been making, they got a excess of claims because of the buildings that's been destroyed. I wonder who them Palestinians gonna get a claim to because of their land has been leveled, destroyed by them Israelis. Who can they do their insurance claims to? I wonder who. Yeah, you know the answer to that. Nobody. All these Israelis who claim to be the children of the Lord, when the scriptures clearly say the children of the Lord are going to be the tail and not the head. They the head. They probably running all the insurance companies. Guess who's going to pay for that? Americans. And y'all going to like it.
2 months later, in March, Israel launched this war again on Gaza with the green light from Trump. So it's clear that this was not a real ceasefire. In reality, the U.S. was simply giving Israel time to recuperate forces. The U.S. was sending Israel more weapons and ammunition, and they were preparing to continue this war. And the war on Gaza continues even more ferociously than before. So the ceasefire was fake. And this is why it's going to be very difficult for Iran to believe Trump and to believe the U.S. government after Trump has repeatedly violated so many agreements, going back to 2018, when Trump unilaterally withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal that the U.S. had signed in 2015 under the Obama administration.
And they act like these people forget. It's just me speaking as a man. The actions of the American government, they have dumbed down the American citizens so much that they think the world citizens are as dumb as the American citizens. You think we don't have no memory or no history? These Americans got selective memory.
Trump sabotaged the Iran nuclear deal 3 years later, setting off all of this conflict that we've seen. Trump then later carried out a drone strike to assassinate the top Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani, in 2020. So every few years, Trump has carried out another attack on Iran, and it's impossible for Tehran to believe Trump when he says he wants peace. And this is especially the case after Trump openly called for regime change in Iran that is overthrowing the Iranian government. In a tweet on his website, Truth Social, on the 22nd of June, one day before he called for the so-called ceasefire, Trump wrote this, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MEGA," end quote. That is
2 days later, he on TV, just like an actor, got the American public fooled. Trump mad at them Israelis for firing for breaking the ceasefire deal. Man, get the fuck out of here. This is our propaganda, the stage, theater. They hypocrites out.
MIGA. Like, instead of MAGA, make America great again, it's make Iran great again. This is the sitting US president calling for overthrowing the government of Iran, which is internationally recognized. It sits at the United Nations. This is a blatant violation of the sovereignty of Iran. And Trump was admitting what critics of the US-Israeli war, like I and others, have been saying, which is that the goal is actually not about Iran's nuclear program. Of course, they do want to destroy Iran's nuclear program, but that's only a minor goal. The real goal is overthrowing the Iranian government and installing a pro-Western puppet regime like the US put in power in 1953 when the CIA organized a coup that overthrew Iran's democratically elected prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, and installed the Shah, a brutal dictator, the king, who governed with an iron fist from 1953 until the Iranian Revolution in 1979. Ever since the Iranian Revolution, the US has been trying to destabilize the independent government in Tehran and impose another puppet regime. And as I have repeatedly emphasized, this is not just about Iran. This is not just about West Asia, the so-called Middle East. This is about the US empire's attempt to impose its hegemony on Eurasia, on the most geostrategic region of the world, and its attempt to divide the partnership between Iran, Russia, and China. It's a divide and conquer strategy, and the US thinks that by weakening Iran, by carrying out regime change in Iran, it can isolate Russia and China as part of the new Cold War. And this was admitted basically by the CEO of Palantir, which is one of the most powerful.
Look at that. He looked like a 48 faker. Look at his hair. Who copied their style? Nobody.
Contractors of the US military and the CIA. The CEO of Palantir is Alex Karp, and he's a close ally of Donald Trump. And he admitted in an interview in 2024 that the US is, quote, very likely, end quote, to fight a three-front war against China, Russia, and Iran. By the CEO of Palantir, and he has a lot of insider knowledge because contractors. And by the way, the New York Times reported in May that Donald Trump is using Palantir to carry out mass surveillance of Americans, to compile data, to create big files on all Americans. So Palantir is directly complicit in mass surveillance, Big Brother style mass surveillance of all Americans on behalf of the US government. Palantir is basically an outsourced arm of the CIA and the Pentagon.
That's all we need from that. I see now they finna start fucking up the program. We'll take that off.
This is a
It's
magical
sneaky.
tool and the most
The
powerful
government
tool
that you
in the
support,
world.
2/3.
It is a true master key. Even professional law.
The 2/3 of the Israelites that reside in this country support. It's crooked. Let's get some. Let's go back to Job right quick. I ain't gonna make this long. Y'all see what's going on. Now they got sleeper cells over here. They got to figure out a way to get back into this war. Because them Iranians ain't finna go for this shit. They don't believe there's no ceasefire. Them Israelis are. Now, when one of these nations gonna step up and say, when they gonna put sanctions on them Israelis for what they doing to them people in Gaza? This shit ain't gonna happen. Let me see. Oh damn! I said it did. That ain't how to do it. Hold up, damn. I know what. Let me go to Psalms 59 right quick. Psalms 59. Let's go there. See what we can get. Psalm 59 and 2. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity and save me from bloody men. Who was that? That's the Edomites. The warmongers. That's all they think about is war. Revelation 6 and 4. Now this was hold on. Let's get the backdrop. Psalms 59 and 1. To the chief musician, Altiscus, victim of David, when Saul sent and they watched the house to kill him. Deliver me from mine enemies, O Most High Power, O my power. Defend me from them that rise up against me. Now, if you don't know, get the backdrop. Saul was a wicked king. He'd rather believe and live to please the people instead of living to please the Lord. So he was taking out the power seat, and the throne was given to David. David was after the Lord's heart, right? Let's jump down to 5. Therefore, O Yahweh, the Most High Power of hosts, the Most High Power of Israel, awake to visit all the heathen. Be not merciful to any wicked transgressors. That's why the Lord got to take these Edomites out the power seat. They got all the snares and traps laid out for everybody. You say anything against them and go against their doctrine and don't want to drink their wine, they finna get rid of your ass. Yeah. He talking about us wicked Israelites, right? But we can apply that to these Edomites. I wonder why I can't. See if it pop up. Habakkuk 2. Yeah. Yeah, the Lord got coming up for you, Esau. I might have went down too far. This for these Edomites. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Hey man don't know how to act. But the just, the elect shall live by his faith. Because it's finna get ugly on this earth. Yeah, also because he transgresses by wine with his doctrine. He is a proud man, his beliefs. Neither keepeth at home. Who enlarges his desire as hell. Right? He don't never be at home. What you doing way the fuck over there in Iran messing with them people for? Since 1952. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? That's why you got sleeper cells over here now, right? That you're going to use to justify yourself from killing more people over in Western Asia. And a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? That ain't even y'all land over there. They go for them Israelis and them Palestinians. Y'all took over our land. Y'all over there banging it out for it, huh? That's cool. That's why we got an army that's greater than all the armies on the earth. And the Lord is working his wonder. He is doing his purpose of what he has said, because his words will not return void. These folks it's finna be World War III. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Now, ain't it kind of funny how this government, $30+ trillion in debt, but yet they still got money to give to countries like the unrecognized state of Israel. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. It's a great melting pot, huh? Right? What did he say? He gathereth unto him all nations. This the land of the free. Free what? They finna crash this economy. The dollar gone. The BRICS nations getting themselves together, preparing themselves for war against the Western hegemony. And meanwhile, Jake still lollygagging, calling the deep sleep. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land, of the city, and all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. That's them Amalekites. They use the rest of the houses of the house of Edom to their benefit. And they the only ones benefit, that they may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Now, you're going to get this. The Lord going to make sure. And this goes for every Edomite on earth. Their history. Look them up. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. Woe means destruction. Establisheth a city by iniquity. Did not the Israelis do that when they came over in 1948? You see what happened in 52 in Iran, right? Ain't that all ironic? How they try to set up nations and displace nations, but yet the nation of Israel, Jake, don't understand what scattering means. That's all we're going to use right here, Israel. All you need to know is things are not the same. You don't believe it's a ceasefire because them boys still working. NATO right now trying to figure out what they're going to do against them Russians. They got to get the digital currency going before they bring in that RFID. They're trying to change the world so that they maintain control. Their inner thought is that their houses shall last forever. But we on their ass. We reporting what's going down. Guess what, Israel? We one day closer to the kingdom.